Hello, welcome to this video. My name is Miriam and I love books. I mean, I really love them. I love reading them, I love collecting them, I love looking at them while they're on my shelf. I even work in a bookstore and wrote some books myself. In the video of today I'm going to review 3 current reads and I'll share with you what I thought about them, and that's like basically the thing with a review. You say what you thought about a book. Well, the first book I'd like to review is A Pearl in the Sand by Tessa Afshar. I'm hoping I say her name right, but this is my Dutch copy and it says Achter de muren van Jericho, which is a totally different translation of the title, and I've said more about this in previous videos, so I'm not going to explain it very well. But that the title is different, translation of the title is different, does not mean that the book is not, the translation was not well done. It's simply the the publisher decided that it would be better to have a different title because of some issues that there might be in the Netherlands. Maybe they already published a book that had the Dutch translation of Pearl in the Sand and therefore they could not use it again because that's like against the law. But now it is turning into a long story, but it's I believe it's her debut novel. I'm not entirely sure, but I've read all the books by Tessa Afshar so far. Only her non-fiction book is one that's still on my list, and her newest is not out in Dutch yet. And maybe you're like, but you can read it in English. You are correct. But I started to collect her books in Dutch. So now I want to continue collecting the books in Dutch and read them in Dutch as well. But anyway, back to basic. I reread this book. I think I've read it 3 or 4 times now. And it's about Rahab, which you might know was a prostitute in the Old Testament times, and she joined the Jewish people, and this is her story. And I remember the first few times I read this book I was absolutely engrossed with the story and I really liked it, but I have become more of a critical reader. That might have to do something with the editor course I took, but the book, I still like the story. No, the book is greatly written and I would really recommend it to people that are into biblical fiction, but Tessa's writing style is not as good as it is in her current books, that in her newest books. Like, this is quite an old book. It was first published in 2010. So that's like 12 years ago. And as an author, I've experienced this myself. You develop your skills, you develop your writing skills, and you get better. And in this book there's quite a massive amount of telling instead of showing. And that sort of made me not like dislike the book, but like it less than I used to, because now I see these things better now that I have taken my editor course and are developing myself as a writer as well. And I sort of get this because if it's, I do believe it's her debut novel, and your debut novel is not as good as your newest books. That, I mean, if you're a writer that if you develop your skill set, then you get better at writing, and that's something that I clearly noticed. But still, this was a great book about forgiving and about shame and how to, well, that forgiveness is also something that you need to accept. It's not, you do not only need to forgive other people, but you have to accept the fact that if people forgive you, you are forgiven. And that is a very beautiful and powerful message. The next 2 books I'm doing a review of are actually books that I read as an ebook, so I do not have the physical copy. In August and September I allowed myself to have a month of a Kobo Plus subscription. I used to have this all year round, but now I realized that there are quite a lot of physical books on my TBR. I will show them to you in next week's video. well, that I have to read. And if I have my Kobo Plus subscription, I will mostly read ebooks. And I feel guilty if I read a physical book because I'm not making the most of my subscription. So now I have this deal with myself that when I go on a holiday, which I actually did in August and also in September, I can have a Kobo Plus subscription for a month, so I don't need to bring any heavy books with me, and I try to read as many books that I don't have and my library does not have, and other books as well. So there's actually, the first book is The Life She Was Given by Elsa Marie Wiseman. I hope I say her name right as well. I actually saw this book at a secondhand bookstore where I bought some books. And someone else was holding it, and I was like, if C is not going to take it, I'm going to take the book. And then C took the book. So I decided to read the ebook, and I think I'm sort of glad that I did not buy the book. It's not that the book wasn't good. It is a very profound story about an albino girl, and she is sold by her mom to a circus. Last year I also read a book about the life in circuses, and that it wasn't as glamorous as what's that movie again with Hugh Jackman? This is ridiculous. Why do I not remember this name of this movie? I mean, I know all the songs by heart. Rewrite the Stars and I can't remember this. This is terrible. I want to know this. I really want to know what the name is. And if I have to think about it for 10 minutes, that is okay. I just want to know. The Greatest Showman, obviously. Well, it's not as glamorous as The Greatest Showman, but the book I read last year, I can't remember the name. I will put it in the description of this video if I think about that. But that was very negative, and The Life She Was Given was more positive, but not... it was a sort of mix. It wasn't the glamorous life, but it was also not the complete negative thing that it was described in the book that I forgot the title of. I believe it was Circus of Wonders by, I don't know the author. Well, I put it in the description. Anyway, this story gripped me, and it was, I don't know, it was such a wonderful story. It was really well written, and I could not put it down, but there was a huge but to it. The ending felt very rushed and was also a bit hopeless, if you get what I mean. It was, I'm trying not to spoiler things, but it for me it's really hard to explain it while not spoiling the story, but the ending felt without any hope, and it felt meaningless. The life of a certain character felt really meaningless, and some other terrible things happened, and really it tore me up. And then the sort of after that it felt really rushed, and I think if the author had put a bit more attention to the ending of the book, then I would have felt far more, I can't find the right word for it, but it would have been better. I think now I remain with all these questions, and actually I read the book when I was in Bratislava, Slovakia. I was visiting my friend, and I wanted to finish the book, so I kept on reading after bedtime, for me, bedtime. And I think I finished it like 10 minutes after midnight. I had a really hard time falling asleep after I closed the book. And when I was finally asleep, I think I only slept for 5 minutes when a thunderstorm broke loose, and I'm sort of afraid of thunderstorms. And then I had to start all over again with processing what I just read, and well, it was difficult. I had a hard time with it. So I'm not sure whether I'd recommend this book. I think I gave it 4 stars because I think it's really well written and the story is beautiful, but the ending, it did not want to let me go, and I'm not entirely sure whether that's a good or a bad thing. The last book I'd like to review is The Gifting by K.E. Ganchard or Katie Ganchard, and I've read several contemporary novels by this author, but then I discovered she had also written a dystopian young adult series, and because the author is a Christian, the book had some links with Christianity, and I was very curious about these books because most dystopian books are very hopeless, and to be honest, I haven't read a lot of dystopian books, but I read Divergence, that whole series, and I thought they were not really well written. I'm sorry. More on that later, maybe. And I also read The Hunger Games. And The Hunger Games, well, I absolutely love the stories. It's not a book that you read for fun, and there's not a lot of hope in it. I mean, even the ending is a bit hopeless. And maybe I'm going to do a video about this in the future. But what I really like about The Gifting is that it brings hope, and the world building was very well done. It's about dreams and that you actually can save lives of people during dreams, and everything is very good. It's very fitting, and I'm sort of not really obsessed, but I really like the dream world, and therefore I really like this story as well. I have not finished the entire trilogy because the first book in the trilogy is called The Gifting, and this series is also The Gifting. The second book is The Awakening. I've finished that one. That was a bit more slow, but I really liked it. And book 3 is The Gathering, and I'm like 20% through that book. I do not know how the book ends, but it has more hope in the story than any of the other dystopian books that I've read so far, and the world building is very well done, because I've also read some Dutch original dystopian books and there were some massive plot holes in it that really took all the fun out of reading, and in these books to me there are no plot holes. I actually read on a review in Goodreads that someone says this is just the Hunger Games all over again, but things have changed, and I started to look at the story that way, and I do have to disagree with the person writing this review, because I don't think it's a rip-off of the Hunger Games. It's a very unique story and I really like it. So if you want to read dystopian books, young adult, but you're also a Christian, because I know actually quite a lot of my subscribers are Christian, then really go and check these books out. I really like them, even though I have not finished the complete series. So these were my 3 book reviews. I hope you enjoyed them, and if you're not a subscriber yet of my channel but you don't want to miss any more videos, I do like these weekly, not really, I do these mini reviews once a month. I try to do it once a month, and I also post some other bookish content, so if you don't want to miss that, then please consider subscribing. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and as always, happy reading.